The Amherst Township Trustees called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Uhrig?
Yes.
And Kish is present. All right, I have the meeting minutes from the June 27th special trustee meeting. The meeting was called to order at 5:30 p.m. by Chairman Lynch. Roll call: Lynch, Uhrig, and Kish were present. Abraham was absent. Also attending was Case Marsh. The pledge to the flag and reading of prior meeting minutes were deferred to the regular meeting. The meeting was to plan and prepare the 2024 budget and long-term financial planning. Our next meeting is Tuesday, June 27th, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. A follow-up budget planning meeting will be held on Tuesday, July 11th, 2023 at 6 p.m. if required. 6/8/23, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig, moved to adjourn at 6:52 p.m. All ayes.
Are there any changes or corrections to the June 27th special meeting other than Chris at the top? That's 2023.
Oh, yes, it is, sir. As corrected.
Are there any other changes? I'll make a motion to approve the special trustee meeting of June 27, 2023 as corrected.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Uhrig?
Yes.
Abraham?
I'll abstain.
Then I have the regular meeting minutes of June 27th, 2023. The meeting was called to order at 7:06 p.m. by Lynch. Pledge to the flag. Roll call: Lynch, Uhrig, and Kish were present. Abraham was absent. Also in attendance was Case Marsh, C. Nyhart, and G. Lynch. 6/9/23. A motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig. Move to approve the June 13th, 2023 regular meeting minutes as read. All ayes. 6/10/23. Motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig. Move to approve the May 2023 credit card account transaction detail that has been reviewed per policy and is accepted as presented, subject to investigation. All ayes. 6/11/23, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig. Move to approve the financial reports and payment of items on the payment listing with reservations as provided by the fiscal officer. All ayes. Under correspondence, Fiscal Officer Kish noted receipt of a letter and a check from unspent balance of a TIF. Trustee Lynch will follow through with the Lorain County Community Development Director for more information as to what TIF this is. Also, a letter from First Energy regarding a certificate of environmental and public need. With amendment for Beaver Wellington 138 kV transmission line project. It was brought up before, but the fiscal officer just received it. Lastly, we received our first payment for the national opioid settlement payment. Trustee Lynch requested a new fund be set up to keep these funds separate, much like the ARPA funds. Trustee Uhrig received a copy of a complaint regarding darkness and a request for a street light at 45600 Old Middle Ridge Road. Packets contain information, and he encouraged the resident to attend the meeting. A discussion ensued regarding installing a light in this area. Trustee Lynch encouraged Trustee Uhrig to investigate costs to do this. Under reports, under ambulance service, Trustee Abraham was absent and didn't provide a report from the meeting held on June 15, 2023, regarding LifeCare's new contract with the Sandstone Joint Ambulance District. Chris Nyhart reported that the entire cost was $183,000, potentially another $55,000 for our services. Under zoning, Trustee Lynch gave an update of a rezoning request that was made for approximately 45 acres fronting Oberlin Road, just south of State Route 113, to rezone from residential ag to R1 residential. There will be a zoning commission site plan review on Thursday, July 6th for Butchko Electric for a new equipment storage 80-foot by 150-foot facility on their property fronting Dewey Road. Fire Prevention Officer Chris Nyhart has seen the plans for the mentioned Butchko facility. There is probably 4 to 6 hours of his time for on-site underground water line inspection for this project, so he wanted to make the trustees aware of these costs. He also mentioned that he noticed packets contained the Redwood Apartments, and he was wondering if the updated drawings were submitted that were mentioned at the meeting the developer attended. Roads, Parks, and Cemetery. Full-time mowing and trimming in the parks and cemeteries and roadside. Mini excavator came in and ditch cleaning was done. All regular maintenance is being done. Griffith Paving did the leveling on Tenney. There will be a pre-construction meeting Friday morning for chip and seal. Curb and gutter repair is being done on Balsam Drive. Sandstone Excavating will be in Hidden Valley next week to do the 3 catch basins and the 2 storm sewer repairs for the Stormwater District Mini Grant Project, and the new mower has arrived. 6/12/23, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick, authorization to enter into Ohio Public Works Commission project agreement and award bid upon full execution of OPWC agreement for Oberlin Road resurfacing, Middle Ridge Road to North Ridge Road project. All ayes. Phase 2, Lynch sent correspondence. Bud correspondence went to Kevin and Linda to resolve the Broadway Taylor Street drainage restoration project to see if this qualifies for the Lorain County Stormwater Mini Grant Program. Under complaints, they are being handled by the designated individual. Old business, Trustee Urick mentioned he is still working with manufactured home parks in Amherst Township for potential inclusion in the upcoming bid for Solid Waste Consortium curbside waste and recycling service. Under new business, 6/13/23, a motion by Lynch, and Urick declined the second. Move to review and approve Amherst Consolidated Properties, LLC Redwood Apartments Subdivision, townhome construction for Sandstone Development, and findings of the Zoning Commission pursuant to Amherst Township Zoning Resolution Article 1200 Plan Development District. This resolution will be represented at the next meeting when the full board is seated. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, July 11th, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. 6/14/23, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick, moved to enter into executive session at 8:25 p.m. according to ORC Sections 121.22G3 to discuss disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. All ayes. 6/15/23, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick, moved to return from executive session at 8:47 p.m. All ayes. 6/16/23, a motion by Urick, seconded by Lynch, to adjourn at 8:48 p.m. All ayes.
Are there any changes or corrections to the June 27, 2023 regular meeting minutes?
I have done.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 27, 2023 regular meeting minutes as presented.
A second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Abraham?
Abstained.
Nope. Then you have your payment listing in front of you, which was pretty basic. Problem with the printer, that's why you see it towards the bottom, several voids and reprints. But very basic. Bills this first part of the month. Our revenue to date is $899,922.44. Got that, David?
Yeah.
And our expenditures are $557,341.67.
Are there any questions on the payment listing
No,
or the other financial reports?
none.
Not that I'm going to make a motion to approve the financial reports and the payment of the items on the payment listing. There's no ARPA expenditure there, Chris.
Correct.
So as specified in the documents provided by the fiscal officer.
I will second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
What's the number on that, Chris?
That is 7-3.
7-3. Okay, Chris, for the trustees in your packet, we will go, as the order of the agenda says, we're going to hit the 2024 budget here. I did have an option where we might change things since we have some honored guests here tonight so they could skate out early. But since they said they're willing to stay and let us get through this, which I assured them wouldn't be more than 15 minutes,
Oh, I was going to say, we probably would get to it about 10:30.
we'll,
Oh,
we'll go to the 2024 budget, and there's quite a bit to cover here, but just to bring this to the floor, I'm going to make the motion that the township's 2024 annual tax budget of estimated revenues and expenditure appropriation for Ohio Revised Code Section 5705.28, adoption of tax budget as prescribed by the Budget Commission of Lorraine County, Ohio, shall be approved. And I'm not going to read through all the portion of the motion, but if I can have a second just to bring that to the floor.
I'll second it.
Okay, and I just want to cover this and so that everyone realizes what we had discussed in the special budget meeting has been included. First, I want to preface it. You'll see the document from the Tax Budget Commission here that indicates they did waive the formal process, which they have done for quite a few years now. And that formal process is just that we do not have to be posting copies and printing legal notices and whatnot, which we know right now if we do that a couple of times is costing us about $600 a year, which just seems like wasted money since nobody reads those little small legal notice things. I don't know why I still see many of the small village and townships still posting all that stuff.
We
but-
did put it in the newspaper.
Well, according to the prosecutor, that formal process is not required, so you might want to double check
Okay,
with
I
that.
will check on that.
But the changes at the special meeting, Chris had put together the original budget template here and realized that she can only go based on the estimates of the revenues, and expenditures many times are just based on an inflationary increase of the previous years. And then we just look at any unusual different expenditures we have. For instance, we know there's a major zoning update to go through. This doesn't include labor, but we know that just in the printing and binders there, that'll be about $2,600. We do have the improvement for the technology. It's a small amount, only $500. That's to improve the speakers. Doesn't hurt, everybody can hear here in the township. The problem is when these meetings are taped and people either want to hear those at home. The real thing is usually when it's public records requests for legal issues that the township seems to find themselves in more and more often, and people want copies of those, and we send them to them and they say they can't hear them. Well, it's the technology we have today, so we do hope to update that. Those two items are out of the general fund. Road and bridge, you'll see the $80,000, that's for a new vehicle. And Kevin, what was the year on the truck that's being replaced?
88.
88. So that vehicle, though it's still, running, it's not high mileage, it's obviously seen better days. And Kevin did obtain for the state bid, fully outfitted truck is $240,000. But obviously we cannot bite that off in a single year, so that's going to have to be financed. We decided in looking at the different terms to use the 3-year term, and I didn't have, since I didn't have a copy, I believe it was 6.3 or 6.34%. And but after looking at this, we know the way the cost of vehicles are going up, that just with the inflation now, if we wait saying, well, let's just save the money and put that aside for 3 more years, we've actually been trying to put it aside in the previous years, but the prices just keep running away from us. So we decided to bite the bullet. I forget the lead time on that was
9 months.
so Kevin will be putting the order in 2023, but we won't see that truck. We're going to time it till 2024, so that's why that $80,000 is allocated in 2024. Then obviously we got to do the same thing in 2025 and 2026. There is the additional $70,000. That is for stormwater projects that would come out of the general fund. We're still hoping to get some added grant money on this. And I know Linda and Kevin are both going to be working on the Broadway Taylor drainage project. And that's one that was held up before just because of some resistance or misunderstandings on the impact of an easement across some private property. And we understand when people get a little skittish about that, but we thought we had this all lined up to get it predominantly paid with grant funds in the past, but because we couldn't get the easements, we had to put that on hold. There is, and I know one gentleman was just here, Kevin, who I think that's down in Briar Court, that wants some concrete repair. I don't know if that's in this one, and I'm not promising that, but there was an additional $100,000 allocated for concrete work in the subdivisions, which are the only place we have concrete today. The rest of our roads are all asphalt pavement. And then we know, based on information from the Sandstone Joint Ambulance District, that there are two different options presented, and we'll discuss this in more detail at the next meeting because this is still up in the air. Just a reminder, the Sandstone Joint Ambulance District is a partnership between Amherst Township, the city of Amherst, and the village of South Amherst for our emergency services and ambulance. And we allocated $55,000 there coming out of the ambulance and EMS fund. But you'll see when we look at these numbers that we're actually going to be spending more than we're taking in. And we can do that since there's some carryover, but we won't be able to do that long because eventually that carryover goes to zero and we can't pay with monopoly money. A few other things to consider, and David, I know we've assigned one of these things to you to figure out options, is we used to receive, just in probably the last 10 years, between $8,000 and $12,000 a year from the Lorraine County Solid Waste District. We now are going to be receiving zero, and it appears that's going to be for some time. When I started as a trustee, we received $70,000 annually, and bit by bit, that's been reduced. We know there's the increased cost of fire prevention, officer inspections, site plan reviews, and new business registration. We've had discussions with Linda and Kevin and others, and some of those may be some adjustments in fees, which we've still got to do some work on that and getting more information and the process put together to decide if the fees can even offset the cost. Because at the same time, you don't want to stifle, this is predominantly businesses, you don't want to stifle that economic development because that's jobs here for the local residents. We do hope to get some additional revenue with the Joint Economic Development District, but that'll be far out in the future. That was in the settlement agreement with the developer of the Sandstone development, but none of those funds will be seen until there's actual commercial development, which will be along 58 within that overall Sandstone development. We already implemented this year, which Linda helped spearhead, the park pavilion lease cost offset. This isn't any revenue producer, it just offsets our costs, particularly when the road guys have to come in on the weekend to clean out all the trash bins because you're going from one event to the next, and the people that end up leasing for Sunday aren't happy if they show up and between all the trash containers and porta potty are filled to the top. So, that causes our guys to come out on the weekend. Yard waste, we've got to come up with a way to start restricting the commercial use. That's not supposed to be used by commercial people. We know they still sneak in there despite the fact they're on security cameras. If we can catch their license plates, they will be turned into the sheriff. They can't deny they weren't aware of it because there's signs that are well posted there that they're not supposed to dump there. We also know the fire fund's going to go down because we actually ordered this year a new fire vehicle. That'll come in at $1.2 million. Though we ordered it in 2023 because of lead time, delivery isn't expected until 2026. And this came up because the city of Amherst, who currently provides our fire service, also need a new fire vehicle, and they were shocked at both the cost increase and also the lead times. And once they saw that, they said, hey, Amherst Township, you guys provide the tanker pumper, you might want to look at this. And so we had received some state bid cost on that, and then the lead time on that one was 38 months. There will be a new fire district contract coming up in 2027, so we've got a plan for that to make sure there's enough money in reserves. There's already been the fees added for food trucks, which we see more and more in our township. In the past, they weren't really paying a fee, they are now. And then we've got a plan for the transition management here in the township, recognizing when people are going to be leaving, particularly since we do a lot of work here with part-timers, and we can see, just because of the demographics, they're not going to be here forever. Wish they'd stay longer, but we'll see. I don't know David and Denny, if you guys want to go through fund by fund between the,
No, I don't.
okay,
I think we covered that 2 weeks ago pretty
Okay.
well. And didn't have anything glaring coming out, the things that you covered, things we anticipated. If there is something that comes up, we can always amend the budget, amend appropriations.
yeah.
But I don't see anything extraordinary one way or the other happening or in that budget, so.
I'm sure there'll be other surprises.
Oh,
between
yeah,
now
there's
and
always a
2024.
surprise.
But, well, the main thing is, we're gonna have to be looking out. We don't have to make a change now, but we do have to recognize between our fire fund and our ambulance and EMS fund, we are now going to be spending, particularly if this new ambulance contract comes in place, we will be spending more than we're taking in. So we've got a healthy fund balance, but we've got to come up with an estimate of when that ends so that we, obviously for the township, today the main revenue source is property tax. There is no income tax in the township unless we can get that joint economic development district, but we know that's in the future, and collecting is that we may have to consider either the replacement or new levy to cover those safety services. And then, David, as we pointed out, some of the general fund items there, because we're using the general fund now to supplement the garbage and waste fund, and that's been running us about $12,000 a year, not counting our internal cost of our road guys that use it. That's just what we're paying outside contractors for the grinding and haul away. Or it's a matter of, which I'm sure the residents wouldn't be happy with, but discontinuing the service altogether. But it's just some things we have to consider. So that being the case, if there's no other questions or comments, are we ready for a roll call vote? All right, Chris?
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Uri.
Yes,
And the number, Chris?
7423.
Okay, just a formality, I don't see anybody in here I don't recognize, but is there anyone that has anything to bring before the trustees or a burning issue? If not, we'll move on. Comment, correspondence, and announcements, Chris?
The only thing that I have, I am very pleased to report that today I received notification from the Ohio Office of Budget and Management that they concluded the monitoring of Amherst Township, and they have not identified any issues which require remediation. You would have seen my desk over the weekend, but we got the information to them.
They're all in regards to the ARPA funds.
Third
correct?
and hopefully final audit regarding the CARES Act and ARPA funds.
What was the
Great.
resolution number on that last resolution?
For the budget, sir? 7423.
That's good news.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever you're spending federal money.
That's all I have.
All right, good. David?
I have nothing to bring forward at this time.
Okay, Denny?
Nothing.
All right, the only other item, and I know I had said at the last meeting I would check on that TIF check that we received from the Lorraine County Community Development Department, and there was, we were guessing what it might be for, but there was no explanation. It was a check showed up and it said for tax incremental financing. I appreciate somebody must have searched through their records at the county. This is for the old Copper Creek TIF that's been discontinued for some time. This goes way back. Ron Twining was still
My
at the
goodness.
county. And
How much was the check?
you recall, was it like $2,400?
No, I thought it was more than that, but I don't have that with, that
All
number
right,
with
well,
me.
we can get that, Denny, but
Okay, well, I was just asking.
I recall at the tax incremental review council meetings that we asked if there were residuals, and was kind of, no, anything that was left was going back to the county's general fund, but evidently, the ORC is funny the way it's written, and that section's changed quite a bit since Copper Creek was put in place, but that money was returned from us. And I had sent that to the Director of Community Development, Rob Duncan, and he must have forwarded that to Jessica Hazlowski that got back to me and indicated that was from Copper Creek. So that'll be it for anything else I have deals with an agenda item. So we'll move on to reports. Ambulance, Denny?
Nothing under ambulance except that document that I gave you, and we'll discuss that.
We'll cover that at our next meeting
next
because
meeting.
there's still some discussion to occur with our other partners in the district on that.
Right.
And trying to make some decisions as to how to proceed forward.
Neil, I'm sorry, Denny, it was $9,460.69.
What's that?
$9,460.69 was the check that we got back from the TIF.
Like manna from heaven.
What is that for?
That what we were just talking about, the TIF, that we received a check and we weren't sure what TIF it was
Oh.
for.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so those
I'm
were the
sorry.
monies from Copper Creek that they had used for the stormwater detention basin, the extension of the sanitary sewers and whatnot, and they had redirected, the property owners still paid their same property tax, but instead of that money going to, in this case, Amherst Township, I think they're still in Amherst School District in that section. They're right towards the edge of Firelands. Amherst Schools is the biggest one, but then you get between the college and the drug task force
Right,
and developmental
right,
disability,
right.
children's services. We all kind of lose a portion, and that was a 10-year, 75% TIF. So we only received 25% of what we would have normally received. The rest went in a special account, and the county made sure they paid off that infrastructure improvement. And evidently, there were funds left over. And
Was that returned proportionally to the parties involved, like to
I
the
have to
school?
assume that, but I didn't go through and ask David, and
I
if you
just
want to ask,
wondered.
you can contact community development and find out,
Okay.
okay?
What was it again? 9,000?
Give me 1 second.
Just under $9,500.
$9,460.69.
69 cents?
Yep.
70 cents.
Okay, I'm going to move on. The Sheriff Neil Hocking, our community policing officer, isn't here this evening, but we will be having one of the items in executive session, potential legal issue, some disruption of some safety devices that the township has put in place. And all I can tell you at this time, the information has been discussed with the prosecutor and forwarded to the Sheriff's Department, and we'll go over the details and the imminent litigation in executive session. A zoning, Inspector D'Ambrosio.
Yep, you guys have the printout of the permit log. We're 73 permits year to date, 29 new construction. Any questions on that?
Just so it's clear, those new constructions are new homes.
Correct. Then I have that letter, Neil, that I handed you. We're going to do another property that needs to be mowed.
Yeah, so 7 new homes the last month.
Yep.
And most of those are in,
Or Hampshire, yeah, probably, I'm guessing 24, 25 of them.
yeah.
Okay, Sam's also has here, just again, this is a nuisance issue for property maintenance, asking that it's going to predominantly be cutting the lawns. But it's just that ORC 505.87 requires the township to take action. So I'm going to make a motion that the zoning inspector is authorized to take care of the property maintenance at, let me find the address here.
There is no, it's a vacant lot, Neil, so that's why
Okay,
the
a
parcel.
vacant lot, parcel number 05-00-037-109-006, because the property constitutes a nuisance as determined by Ohio Revised Code 505.87. That'll be my motion.
Is that in our packet,
Second.
sir? Could I have the information?
a nuisance.
You want to sign that as you pass to Chris, and we'll get any
Yes, I will.
signature later.
Honey.
Tell me when you're ready, Chris.
I've got to figure out the whole thing to write, so you can keep going.
Okay, then?
You need a second.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Right? Go ahead.
Good?
Yeah.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
What was that?
That was for the property maintenance on a vacant lot. Sam will get it posted.
It's on Taylor Street, is it?
Oh, that's the one that's been brought up before then.
Yeah. He lives in Kentucky, the owner.
Just tell me when you're ready then, Chris.
I'm okay.
You're okay? All right. Sam, did you have any more there?
No.
All right, well, just so you're aware, I'm not sure if you were at, there was a site plan review for Butchco Electric on Dewey Road,
Yes.
putting up that 80 by 150 foot storage facility since they're growing, and also plans for future facilities he has in mind that may be expansions or rentals for other businesses. But one of the items that had come out of there was that he's proposing a gravel type parking area and driveway this is an industrial site, and our zoning requires paved areas. So Mr. Butchko is going to look at that with his engineer, and he's either going to make a decision to pave it, or he's going to make a decision to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals and get it with just the gravel in there. So he's got to make that decision, and I'm sure some of it's going to be a cost and timing, it sounds like, and how quickly he wants to move on this. You also have on August 1st, there are going to be, before the Zoning Commission, there's a site plan review. This is I always seem to pronounce this wrong. Is it Ambari or Amberi? I know the Huffmans
You know,
have
I
corrected
say
me in the
Ambari,
past.
I don't know.
In any case,
Whiskeyville, yeah.
they're looking at some improvements and expansions down there, still in the recreational and I'd say recreational entertainment. I can't tell if it's going to have food service,
I believe so.
refreshments there, but that site plan review will be presented before the Board of Zoning Appeals on Tuesday, August 1st. Also, and I had mentioned this at the last meeting, is there's Mr. David Kohler out of Hudson, Ohio, and they're proposing a zoning map change for approximately 45 acres on the east side of Oberlin Road, south of 113, to go from RAG, which is a minimum 1 acre lot, 125 foot frontage, to an R1, which is half acre lots, and I believe that's a 75 foot frontage. So that's what they'll be bringing before the zoning commission. They had come in previously, I believe that was in June, for an informal presentation. I know there were some comments made then, but it appears they've gone on this direction. So I'm sure that one will be a well-attended meeting. I don't know, David, did anything else come up, do you recall, I know you weren't at the BZA, but the zoning commission
I
meeting?
wasn't able to get to the zoning commission this month.
Okay, well, I think I've covered them all.
I don't have anything. I asked Sam if Sam remembered anything else from the zoning commission.
Okay. Well, then we're going to move on to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and normally I'm much better at estimating time. But I can tell you for our new candidate here, Melissa, I did give her the option of going on first. Sure, next time she'll choose that option. But there are 3 resolutions prepared here, and I'm just going to run through these quickly in the right order. The first one is accepting the resignation of Ron Friend and appointing Esther Arroyo as Ron's successor. Ron had served on the BZA for over 10 years, was a real good member. Ron is a retired engineer. Obviously, you could tell Ron always came to the meeting prepared, dug into things, asked very pointed questions, so it was good to have him, but I know he's told me that it's getting tougher to do. He has a very large yard he maintains, beautiful yard on Stang Road, and between that and grandkids and some other things in his life, it just was more difficult for him to continue, but we do appreciate all the service he's given. So Esther is going to move from the alternate, let me make sure I got these right. Yeah, she's going to move from the alternate and take Ron's position. So I'm going to make this motion accepting Ron Friend's resignation and appointing Esther Arroyo as his successor. And just so Esther knows, that Ron's term, since he was just recently reappointed, will end December 31st, 2027.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All right, roll call, Chris.
Lynch,
Yes.
Euring,
Yes.
Abraham.
Yes.
And the number, Chris?
7,
5.
nope, the property was 5. This is 7-6.
7-5,
7-6.
7-6.
Okay, the next one, since Esther steps up, is we have Jeremy Watson. And Jeremy currently serves as the second alternate on the Board of Zoning Appeals. He's going to move up to the first alternate with his term of this appointment beginning immediately and then renewing every 5 years beginning on January 1st, 2024. So essentially, Jeremy just got moved to be a longer term. So he gained another year or 2 years on his time serving the township. So I'm going to make a motion that we appoint Jeremy Watson as the first alternate for the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, Chris?
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Euring.
Yes.
And that's 7-7. 3.
Yes.
Okay, and then we've got a new candidate now to take the second alternate position, and we happen to have the Board of Zoning Appeals Chairperson, Bill Latrani, here this evening. Bill, can you introduce the candidate to the trustees, please?
Thank you. Good evening. Oh.
She's got the camera probably pointing that way, Bill.
You might want to turn the camera off.
You guys better be friends.
Good evening, and I'd like to take this opportunity and welcome and introduce Melissa Gelker, who is a resident of Hidden Valley for about 10 years. And Melissa is an EMT and just promoted to supervisorial position, as I recall. And her husband, Frank, is also an EMT, and we're very fortunate to have that safety and security essence in our neck of the woods in Hidden Valley, which also brought to mind many years ago, I don't know, maybe a decade or so, give or take a year, when Denny introduced me to the Board of Zoning Appeals. He said, Bill, be mindful of safety and security. And that always stuck with me, and I carry that in other facets of my life as well. But anyway, what I wanted to point out, we're very blessed to have a Board of Zoning Appeals with so many different backgrounds of career, and Ron's going to be missed. He was, I learned from Ron, and we're very fortunate to be able to present Melissa to you. And without further ado, Melissa Gelker.
Hello, everybody. Save all your questions, please. Sorry. So, as Bill said, my husband and I have lived in Hidden Valley on Hidden Tree for 10 years, just this past April. I am from Brownhelm Township. I've been local all my life. We are both paramedics. I've worked locally, and now I actually do home health care visits. So being a supervisor, I will get to work from home 3 days a week, and I do visits seeing patients 2 days a week. So I've got some flexibility. We have 2 kids. I've got a daughter that's 25, and she's in the military. And I've got a 16-year-old son at home still. Actually, technically, he's at leadership camp because he's the drum major for the Amherst Marching Comets this year. So he just went to camp to learn how to be a drum major. But other than that, that's just about it. We've both been in healthcare for about 20 years apiece, so there's about 40 years worth of experience in healthcare and emergencies in our house. Everyone comes to us with their questions. Text, phone call, knock at the door. But we love that. And I am appreciative of this opportunity to be a positive and productive part of the township team.
Thank you. And Melissa, I've had an opportunity to speak with Melissa, but David, we'll start with you. I don't know if you have any questions.
I don't have any questions at this time.
No, I don't either. I'm
Appreciate you
just
taking
glad
the
to see
interest.
you here and that you would take the time to speak of yourself. So I appreciate that.
Spoke to your neighbor, and he spoke highly of you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Well, that's good.
Thank you.
Well, and-
Thank you very much.
And I don't know, Melissa, since you got here early, different people were probably able to speak with you, but you know that our fiscal officer, Chris Kish, who also lives in the valley, will be working with you on the onboarding, because you will have to go through that first, difficult employee stuff and tax and whatnot. And Georgiana will work with you as far as getting an actual zoning book and, some of the other items you need to know. And Bill will help you through with the training as far as on the Board of Zoning Appeals. Unfortunately, the prosecutor's office generally does every other year they do training, and they've just done that, so it may be another 2 years before they formally go in. But you'll have a whole team of people that have been there, some of them for some time, and so they'll help you through it. We encourage you to come to all the meetings that they set. Theirs are only as needed, so they don't have a regular meeting date. But we just want you to come anyway, because if nothing else, you're at least learning each time you come there and seeing what they have to go through. Okay? But at this time I just want to formally make a motion to appoint Melissa Gilker as a second alternate to the Amherst Township Board of Zoning Appeals, and the prepared resolutions in front of you.
Does someone have an extra one?
I'll second that motion.
Have a second, an extra one, or do you have an extra one on those?
I'll have to,
The writings, you can have mine if that's what you're looking at. Do you need it?
there's none in your packet there?
No, I'm missing one.
Okay, well, someone must have two. Yeah, he just wants a copy then.
I'll make you a
So,
copy.
yeah, we'll get you a copy, David. Who seconded that?
Benny.
I did.
Roll call when you're ready then, Chris.
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes,
Urick.
Yes.
And I have a folder with all of the information.
and that's 7-8.
7-8. I see for some reason the header, the resolution portion got cut off. All right, Melissa, you're welcome to stay and you're welcome to leave, okay? But thank you very much for coming up. Especially with the son in band camp today. I hope he's having fun like most of the band guys do. fire prevention officer isn't here. Road superintendent, so road, parks, and cemetery superintendent Marsh.
We are just on the regular basis mowing, trimming. Made another round of roadside mowing and potholes, typical. And we were curb and gutters on Balsam. We poured those, and there is asphalt patch that we need to put back in with that. But then also in the same neighborhood, on Juniper, there is pretty bad area caused out by the garbage trucks, salt trucks, things of that nature. We know the gig. And since Griffith Paving was going to be in the area, I asked them to give me an estimate for this repairs, which will be very helpful. We did some base repair there, and they can come in and all at the same time and get that done. As a matter of fact, if I give them the okay, they could be there Thursday.
Okay.
So I told them that I'll talk about it at the meeting tonight, and then I'll get back with them. They were fine with that. They're in limbo. It could happen. I could let them know Thursday morning if I had to. So I think that's
You got the amount there, Kevin?
yes. For the patch, for the concrete, by the concrete repair, it's $2,345. And then for all the other repairs, it is $9,953.
And you already checked the budget was there for 2023, so it's not, you're okay with it.
Yes, yep, I've gone over that with Chris.
What were
Just-
the two numbers? I'm sorry, Kevin.
2345 and 9953.
It's for David. Danny, the only reason Kevin's bringing this up is because it's a large outside expenditure, relatively large for us, and he just wanted to make sure before he went forward, even though it's in the budget, that you were all aware of it in a public meeting. So you guys don't have any
No,
heartburn?
no problem at all.
David? Okay, then you're good to let him know and get it scheduled then, Kevin.
Okay, though.
Okay?
And
Where is
that's
this at
for-
exactly?
Where we did the curb and gutter repair, that is on Balsam, halfway up the road from Laurel, and the repairs on Juniper are basically throughout the whole thing.
Are both of those figures for Juniper? The 2,345 and the 9,530?
No, the 2,345, that's for the patch
That's for the patch of
by the,
Balsam.
yep,
right?
correct.
And 9,530 is for,
All the patch on Juniper.
and that's for what street?
Juniper and Balsam.
Juniper and, well, Balsam I have. Okay, thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, thanks, Kevin. By the way, if you guys noticed during Kevin's report, we did have 2 trains go through, and we did not have to stop the meeting because of train horns. I heard the train rumbling, but the quiet zone, there's still occasionally train horns going off, but is much less frequently. Realize it'll never be 0%, because anytime there's an animal on the track, workers on the tracks, and we know people walk up and down the tracks, some of the various fishing holes and hunting areas, they will sound their horns. I just want to point that out, because normally we stop our meeting while the
Quiet.
horns are going off. Hopefully we don't see that. Okay, there are a couple other items in your packet here dealing with the roads. The one, I just wanted the trustees to be aware of this. think I've sent this out to you, but if not, you've got a hard copy here. This is the Middle Ridge Road project that we're doing jointly with the city of Amherst, just like we did Dewey Road jointly with Amherst. Both of those were in OPWC Round 36. On Dewey Road, since most of it was township roadway, we took the lead. On Middle Ridge Road, since most of the work was the city of Amherst, they're taking the lead. We also, the county engineers involved in this as a third partner because there is a culvert bridge that was being replaced. Well, the projects and the estimates for all of this started 3 years ago. For the grant application, that was 2 years ago. And I know when I spoke with Mayor Coslow, I said this will work out for us because we couldn't do both projects in the same year with the funding. And this will work out nice. Go get Dewey Road done, all within OPWC Round 36 in 2022, and then we'll be able to pay for Middle Ridge and when we have more tax revenue coming in 2023. But costs have gone up significantly from those original estimates. So Aaron Appel, who is he worked for Bramhall Engineering as the engineer for the city of Amherst, sent the email you have in front of you, but we had committed both township funds and OPWC funds for our portion of $83,655. But the estimate, I only copied the portion that deals with Amherst Township, which are the ones that are, since it's copied, it shows up darker shading. You also see the portion for the county's culvert in there also. But for our portion, you can see that would add the township an additional $36,025 and some change. Huge increase for us. But Aaron did propose some options, is if we don't go with a full depth repair in some areas that are all alligated right now, which we don't know if the subgrade is damaged or not. At this point, Kevin's looked at it. He doesn't believe it is, and he believes the milling that will come off of that will show that the subgrade is fine and can be paved over. I'm trying to recall. This was the 1.5-inch milling, was it, Kevin?
Yes.
So if we can eliminate the full depth repair, eliminate the linear grading on the edges, and I sent this to the county engineer, and Bob Kleiber and Sean DeFalla both went out there to inspect this, and they both believe, looking at the linear grading, they think we're fine right now, and most of that is usually to prevent the breaking off of the edges. Kevin's already said for the small amount that may need it, we'll just do it in-house to get that done. But if we eliminate those items, it's still going to be an additional, but it'll be $5,552 and change. So right now, that's the direction we're going. Precision Paving is the contractor on this that won the bid. This was publicly bid. And Kevin is going to work with the contractor to be notified when that's milled, and he's going to inspect it and determine at that point. But right now, we're not anticipating a need for that subgrade repair that Precision has in their bid. But again, realize this was the lowest bid of the bids received. So I just want you guys to be aware that that is going to be an increase. We did have in the original resolution that Kevin could approve any amendments up to $5,000 and some other things. Well, guess what? It's just a little bit over. I don't have a prepared resolution, but I just want to make a motion that Road Superintendent Kevin Smarsh is authorized to make the adjustments to the Middle Ridge Road improvements, OPWC Round 36, as outlined in this email, which will result in additional cost to Amherst Township of $5,552.45.
I'll second that motion.
Chris, you have this, so I'll let you keep typing.
I don't have what you just said.
Wait for you.
All I have is Road Superintendent Kevin Smarsh.
all right, is authorized make the changes, the Middle Ridge Road improvement project funded with OPWC around 36 funds as indicated in the June 29, 2023 email supplied by engineer Aaron Appel. That should be enough.
Okay.
You've got a copy of it right here.
Yep. Jenny, you seconded that?
Yes, I did.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
And what's the number on
That
that?
will be 7-9.
7979?
7-9-23.
So now you're all formal, Kevin. It's, next time those guys want those increases, we gotta tell them, keep it under 5, but they wouldn't know. It's actually literally more than that. That's us taking things out. I know Amherst is doing the same on theirs. Okay, then the final one, and I've sent this to both Linda and Kevin, more just to get, since we have to have the county engineer provide our estimates for road projects, and they are taking care of all 18 townships in Lorraine County, is to get on their schedule quickly to get the cost estimate so that then we can put together the grant application and then hope that we get awarded a grant. Right now, the target is these have to be back to OPWC District 9 Integrating Committee by September 1st of this year. But usually the first thing is always get that road estimate, that cost estimate. So they'll be getting that together. The engineer's office, even though OPWC now has everything electronically, they want us first to, don't put it in the WorkWise system, which OPWC provides. They want us paper copy, print it, fill it out, take it to the engineer, have them check it over. Once they give the okay, then we can enter it into WorkWise. Okay. I did mention, just so the trustees are aware, to Kevin and Linda, 2 months ago, it would have been the Lorraine County Township Association meeting in Brownhelm Township, is Bob Kleiber was there, and he had indicated that the scoring methodology they use, since these are competitive applications, that the odds of getting any type of grant award for the less traveled roads, particularly in subdivisions, is going to be next to nil. So he just wants us to be aware of that. Obviously, it's more work for that committee to score and compare, but I've recommended for our subdivisions, just as we've done in the past, we're going to put in 2 applications. And with the subdivisions, we can go ahead and we'll contribute a much larger percentage, because as I know David's mentioned before, well, any dollar is better than no dollar. So even if we get a very small percentage, it still will help offset the cost. So you'll want to pick out those sections for the concrete repairs, and we'll just go ahead and try again. And we know most of those are going to be those 0%, 25-year loans also. Okay? But you've got the schedule, and you know what you got to do now. Okay, Township Administrator, Linda Ashley.
Just a few things. Cemetery grant, I know I've beat this horse many times, but it opened July 1st. It's $2,500. I've talked to Kevin, we're trying to figure out has to be an extraordinary maintenance issue. It can't be used for mowing, that kind of thing. And I've been just working quite a bit on a public records request that has been extensive, and working with the Lorraine County Prosecutor's Office, and this has taken up a lot of my time. And then I have a new person that's going to be starting. Do you want to do that now, or?
What's that, Linda?
Morgan, for tomorrow. Do you want to do the
Yeah.
resolution
Yeah.
now? Okay.
Absolutely.
We're hiring a new person to come into the office to help relieve some of the work, and to, hopefully, the plan is for succession. that she could learn my job, she could learn some of Georgianne's job, and hopefully fill in when we're not here, help us when we're overloaded, and help Sam, so she can kind of run between the three of us. And as I said, then maybe for succession, she could just step into one of the positions, or both, or all three, or whatever.
Okay. And the
Take 'em all.
trustee, you're aware that Linda was authorized to search for a person, and she has for some time, but now since it's taken a while, we know what the labor market is, and some of it also might be what our wage scale is. We had given Linda a range, and this individual has agreed to come in. It was higher, it's kind of about the middle, I'd say, of the range that we had. So I'm going to make a motion that part-time seasonal person, Morgan Orozco, shall be appointed as the administrative assistant. It gives her address here, so this will be at a rate of $14 an hour, or up to 750 hours per year, conditional on passing all pre-employment investigation, performance tests, and examinations required by the trustees. Her employment shall begin actually July 12th, tomorrow, or at such date in 2023 to be determined by the Township Administrator, Linda Ashley, and the Township Fiscal Officer, Chris Kish. I'm not going to read through the rest of this. It's prepared. You have it in front of you, and you have a list of the prime responsibilities. That'll be my motion.
Second that.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Chris.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes,
Uri?
Yes.
and that's 7/10/23.
Yep.
I shouldn't even have to ask, Linda. I know you're probably way ahead on this and getting things done then with Morgan.
Yeah, I have all the paperwork from Chris, ready to go.
Okay, good. Okay, stormwater will be at the next meeting. We'll move on to the open complaints. Denny, I don't know, in the one, did we ever make a decision on the water line on Dewey Road? You were just, I think, going to just get back to Mr. Martin and let him know that, hey,
No, I haven't done that yet.
all right, we're not paying for one, but
No.
if he wants to look at it and pay for it himself, he can.
I have no communication with him.
Okay. Well, probably that's just the biggest thing. I think what he was trying to use was the,
Township money.
yeah, because of the railroad disaster that
Yeah.
happened in East Palestine. He's pointing out that he's on a cistern well system, and so, geez, a train could happen. He wouldn't
Right.
have any drinking water, but I think he knew that when he purchased the property. That's why the property was valued at the value it was. And you
Right.
put public water there, it will increase the property value. But to expect the taxpayers to pay that just isn't realistic. You've been through that particular property
Yes,
before.
I have been.
And I don't recall what that cost
No.
was. That was many years ago. Let's see, this one, the next one, I think, this is the one you just had a sign for the property maintenance issue down there on Broadway, in that area. So Sam's already taken care of that. You've probably got someone lined up to already cut it.
Yeah.
So can I just take that off? Is that going to be done?
Yeah, it's going to be done in the next couple weeks.
Have you talked with the gentleman that filled out, I'm assuming it's a he, I think it was, it could have been a she, I just have a first initial. This Mazanek, that was the one that,
I haven't no.
okay. Maybe he'll notice once it's cut, but just
Yeah.
like to close the loop when we take
Well, I
these
mean,
off.
I've got signs posted. He knows, you can see we're moving, doing something about it.
All right, David, I put the one on here, Mr.,
Still active.
okay, this on the street light.
Yeah, still active, still working to make contact with Ohio Edison and working to establish a contact down there for the
Okay,
information.
Can we take the
What-
second one off?
well, I think so, I just thought
Let's
you'd
take
at
it
least
off.
contact them and just so that we can tell them thank you for filling this out, but we are not going to provide the public funds to run another water line to his home.
Right.
And then you just received, which it doesn't have a date on, but is in your mail slot. I'm marking it that it was today. This is from Nicole and David Stacknick on Oberlin Road, complaining about some of the maintenance fuel trucks that arrived at the development site late in the evening and shining at the lights in their home late at night. And there's some other complaints, causing the dogs to bark and whatnot. I'm going to take care of that one because since I received, breathe a sigh of relief there, Sam. But Mr. Stacknick already sent me a text also on this, and I got more information as to what's going on. I assured him I would contact the developer, and he's agreed that I can provide his direct contact information so him and the developer can talk directly on anything that's coming up or concerns, because they happen to be right close to where some of the main activity is occurring for the access in there for this development. And plus, he only lives 2 doors away from me, so.
That was today, Neil. You can see whatever time I wrote that I took it in. She came in personally and filled it out. I
Also-
just didn't put the date on the top, but it's on the bottom where it says
Oh,
received
I do
by.
see, yes, okay.
So it came in today, it was like, whatever, 10, 11 o'clock.
Well, I'll take care of that and get that one resolved. Okay, in terms of the other unfinished business that is assigned specific responsibilities to the trustees, is there any item there to bring up and address this evening?
I would just add under solid waste, first item that the policy committee met today and approved sending the plan out to the communities. So you'll be getting a notice about the plan update for solid waste coming out to us.
It'll
And
just
then
be
we have to-
electronic, David?
Sounds like a hard copy. Ask David, David didn't say, but
I'll re-suggest the suggestion I give every year. Just give us a link to electronic copy, and I'll even take all the savings they get in paper, printing, personnel, mailing, or driving it out, and they can send that check to Amherst Township. I just think that's a waste of money. Especially it's just in draft.
Okay, well, that's coming up, so we'll have to.
I'm
next
sure
couple
Mr.
months we'll have to
Blevins,
take
who's
care.
the director, will be willing to save money. I know he's technically savvy. So unless there's something in the ORC that says we have to receive a paper copy, please suggest strongly that they save that money.
The plan update for,
The solid waste plan.
It's a requirement by code, Chris. They have to update this. Every 3 years, is it, David? 5 years?
Question was to make it 10 years.
okay,
Anyway, okay, 14.
It's about this thick. Lots of paper.
Yeah. Appendices. They're scheduling an ag tire collection 14th of September, but they have to register with the solid waste district by September 8th. There'll be a 50-cent per tire fee for that. That's coming up. But just to let you know, the big point was that it's coming through. It's coming through, the plan update's coming through, and the second I'm going to bring up, still working on that with the yard waste, with contact Gloria. I know what exactly is going on there, what they're doing. Right?
I talked with Director Blevins, too, to see what ideas he might have there, David.
Oh, that I will. First we'll find out.
I
what
mentioned to
they've
him
done.
if they'll help because Rob Duncan, a Director of Community Development, mentioned at one of the OTA, or Lorraine County Township Association meetings, almost as if we can apply for some of the EPA grants for solid waste, and they would help us with that. I don't know if he misspoke or not, because in the past, we were
That's
always
what they
told
said
that.
when they did away with the community grants, that.
But in the past, they always said those
EPA grants, they would help.
only be for the district, which also applies. So are we competing against the district for the same funds? So it was just confusing to me when that was mentioned, and it was a long meeting, and it was during a storm event out of Brown. I don't know if you remember that, 2 months ago at Brown
I would
Township.
check with Dave Blevins before I
Yeah, but
listen to Rob Dunn.
see what Mr. Blevins says on that, because, yeah, if there is a way and they're willing to help us, that's fine, but we don't have the staff to be going after grants that are real low probability of obtaining them.
What was the collection date for the ag tires?
The ag tires is 14th of September, September 14th. You have to register before September 8th.
Anything else, David?
No, I have nothing more to bring.
You're still
forward.
working on the manufactured home parks to see if they
Oh, yeah,
can
yeah,
run
yeah,
a
yeah,
consortium bid?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you can, because I think that'll really help in our residents as a whole, and I think it'll help them too, but they've got to make a decision. They want to be part of that public
The
bid.
question is, my understanding is that there is an existing contract with Legacy. The question is how long that is, and the parks are supposed to be getting information on that. I heard nothing back from Westwood. I'm going to have to follow up, and I'll follow up with that, Melissa at South Amherst.
Well, if you can talk with them, I mean, the district has a good attorney that I think can figure out how to address that as far as the timing of the contract. Okay? Is that it?
That's the only thing I have.
All right, then I do have for new business in your packet, we've held this up till we had a full board. This is a review and approval of Amherst Consolidated Properties LLC, Redwood Apartments Subdivision Townhome Construction for the sandstone development and findings of the zoning commission pursuant to Amherst Township Zoning Resolution Article 1200 Plan Development District. And I think it's probably important to read through some of this. This is going to be for Redwood, if you recall. These are the rental units. This is an age-targeted development of approximately 205 homes. They will be townhomes. Generally, they're going to be 4 units within each structure. It'll be just south of the Ohio Turnpike between Oberlin Road, State Route 58. But I'm just going to read through this. Section 1, the Board of Trustees pursuant to Amherst Township Zoning Resolution, Article 1200, Plan Development District, finds and determines that it is in the best interest of the township to approve the Amherst Consolidated Properties Redwood Apartments Subdivision Final Development Plan for the construction of 205 townhome rental units in the sandstone development and the findings of the Zoning Commission. The approved final development plan shall remain valid for a period of 12 months following the completion of construction of the Sandstone Parkway by Lorraine County. Section 2, all construction shall be consistent with the settlement agreement by and between the Amherst Township Board of Trustees, Amherst Consolidated Properties LLC, Consolidated Investors Group LLC, and Consolidated Investors Group 2 LLC for the Sandstone Plan Development District and Preliminary Development Plan, settling Lorraine County Common Pleas Court Case Number 20CV-200199 pursuant to Revised Code Section 505.07. Section 3, all construction and ongoing maintenance shall be consistent with the commitments made during the January 3rd, 2023 Zoning Commission Final Development Plan meeting, a documented maintenance program, and all drainage, detention, and retention systems for stormwater, sanitary waste, or flood water constructed or improved for the primary purpose of benefiting the development, applicable building codes as determined by the Amherst Township Zoning Inspector, Fire Prevention Officer, and Architect, and the attachment titled Redwood Apartments in Sandstone Site Plan Review Q&A, January 3rd, 2023. Section 4, an appropriate barrier shall be provided to prevent motor vehicles inadvertently driving into the retention basin on the northeast portion of Redwood development. Section 5, this approved Redwood subdivision final development plan for the construction of 205 residential rental units shall become for the proposed development a binding commitment of the specific elements approved for the development. The approved development plan may be transferred to another person, corporation, or group of individuals or corporations prior to the issuance of a building permit. A request for such a transfer or change of ownership shall be presented to the zoning inspector and granted only if the new ownership entity satisfies the administrative, financial, legal, and all other performance guarantees approved with the original development plan. All construction and development under any building permit shall be in accordance with the approved plan. Any departure from such plan shall be cause for revocation of the zoning certificate. Any changes in an approved plan shall be resubmitted for approval in accordance with the Amherst Township Zoning Resolution, Article 1200, Land Development District. The rest is all boilerplate, but that'll be my motion.
And I will second that motion.
Thanks, Denny. And just so we're aware, that whole meeting is all captured on video. That link has been shared with our zoning inspector and our building official. In addition, it's made part and parcel of this resolution. There is a 21 points that I had brought up and put in writing, which Sam had requested to provide to the developer prior to the meeting. Unfortunately, if you watch the video, the developer actually went point by point, did answer them. The answers are also shown on here in bold, so that all becomes part of this. And we did verify, and Sam will address this with our chief building official, Tom Horseman, that these will all be subject to the building code, in this case out of the commercial section. So Tom Horseman is familiar with this, since this same Redwood development we've got in Avon Lake, North Ridgeville. I mean, there's Elyria, so it's not something new to Lorain County. So it's, fortunately, Tom will have had experience there. So if there's no other discussion.
Well, I know, Neil, that it was brought up about those roads, putting a barrier at the end of those dead-end stubs that are next to the pond.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's in
still
section 4.
Would prefer that it be looped. And also, another concern that I have would be, it's kitty corner from the propane place,
What do you mean loop?
that the roads would not dead end.
But where would it loop to?
Well, they would loop into each other. They wouldn't
How would you
dead
do
end.
that?
How would you do that? Well, instead of make them go back, bring them around.
But still meeting the settlement agreement, which showed this number of units, so that you're not in violation of a court settlement. How would you do that? Short of purchasing the adjacent property, we've been through this before, that's why you put those little stub streets in. So someday in the future, if the property to the north wants to develop, well, then you can extend those roads through. I mean, that's typical county planning, right?
But the...
Isn't that typical county planning? I mean, you only own the property you own.
No, those are the internal streets, the stub streets.
Isn't that the ones you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the little streets that go dead end into the pond. That's concern about that.
Okay. I don't see how you loop it, but okay.
I mean, on the original drawing that they presented, they were looped. They went into each other. There wasn't a stub that went back into the pond. And the second item, Neil, is, it is kitty corner from a propane distribution place. That's
Near
not the
Ohio
best.
Turnpike and a railroad too.
That's not, to me, it's not a compatible use with high-density residential like that. Concerned about that, and I think I brought up at the Planning Commission, I'll bring it up here. I would prefer at some point there be factored in an exit, a third exit.
We're just talking
The
Redwood.
Spline Road of
Only
the
approving
subdivision.
You're talking a different portion. We're just
Yes.
talking Redwood
But they
here. So
all
now I see
feed
you're
in,
talking
all
a
the
whole
parts.
different Now I understand.
all the parts feed into the whole, Neil.
All right, so we're not
So-
talking Redwood. Now I understand the loop road. That's where you had me confused, David. I'm
The
only
loop,
looking
no.
at Redwood.
The loop I'm talking about is Redwood. Not to have
Don't mark
these-
on it, this is my
No.
original. Just point to.
Not to mark, but like around.
Here's
So that the
here's
roads don't
detention
go
basin
in.
you're
These are the
talking
ones
about.
I'm talking about, all right, Neil? I don't know how to explain it to you to make you
Here's a road
understand it,
here,
but,
here's a road here.
yeah, see
These
these
are the
stubs?
dead ends.
These stubs dead end and the pond is right there.
No,
Just
here's,
beyond.
here's the detention basins right here. The other one's right here.
Conrady's pond, the other pond.
So you want the neighbor to the north to fill in his pond?
No, I didn't say that. I said, well, where you're getting at, Neil, I said to loop the road. Instead of putting in a dead end,
Okay.
tied in, all right? All right,
Is there
Neil.
anything else?
No, at this time, those are my three concerns.
Okay. But right now, this meets the court settlement agreement, correct? There's nothing here in
That's correct.
violation of the settlement agreement.
That's correct.
I think there's plenty of conditions on there. Sam may hear some shouting, but he can handle it. All right? Anything else, David?
Nope.
Okay. All right, Chris, roll call?
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Urick?
No.
And the number, Chris?
7-11.
7-Eleven on 7-Eleven.
Okay, and Linda, just for you and Sam, I put this as a placeholder, and I've sent you guys communication in the past as far as site plan reviews and variance hearing cost recovery for architects and fire inspection for large-scope projects. Doesn't necessarily have to be in July, just anticipating that last month, I just put it down so we wouldn't forget it. So no need to spaz out on that. I know there's something else that was just dropped on your plate here, which we'll be discussing in executive session.
It'll get done.
All right, is there any other new business?
No.
Okay, our next regular meeting will be at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, July 25th. Kevin, any need for a work session?
No, sir.
Okay, good. I don't like coming up here at 7 o'clock in the morning. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, well then, I do have a need for an executive session. There won't be any business after the executive session. I do need Sam, and I actually need Kevin, you too. I know it's going to be late. I'm going to need all three of you guys this evening on this executive session per Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 G3 in regards to imminent litigation. And Chris, there are two separate items. That's train number 3 without a horn.
Pending or imminent court action is usually just what I put.
Yeah, that's just for that, but then I'm supposed to give more, and here's the detail, is the one is a zoning issue. Predominantly, it's going to be zoning.
Okay?
And the other one can be a combination zoning, but I'd say it's more going to be the road safety.
Okay?
So that's my motion.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Okay, we'll return, I'll make a motion, return from executive session at 9:08 PM.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Okay, is there any other business? We have a motion to adjourn?
Okay, next meeting, we said that already?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Urick?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.